It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. Good Monday morning. Whoo, baby. What a weekend. Who am I kidding? It was all just precursor to the big game tonight. Yes, I'm excited about the football game that I'm terrified of because I spent the weekend listening to the pundits and they talked me off my horse. But that's another story for about 10 minutes from right now. Let's get right to the top five at 6. Let's kick the week off on a positive note, or not really. The Los Angeles fires continue to, over the weekend, they got much greater control over these fires. But the next couple days, we're going to see those winds whipping back up to 60, 70, 80 mile an hour gusts. So it's now as much of a threat as it was a week ago. This is going to be another terrible week for the city of L.A. The fire chief of Los Angeles was in front of a microphone the other day, and she laid into pretty much everybody in this who's been in charge at City Hall in L.A. for quite some time, saying budget cuts and not listening to the fire department, telling the city what's needed. Listen to this. This is Kristen Crowley, the L.A. Department fire chief.
Or maybe we will get it. Maybe we won't. Where did I put it? All right. Don't you hate it Monday morning when you hit the play button? Gosh, that was a nice lead-in, Steve.
Yeah.
Nothing. I mean, that's what I've got for you.
The fire department needs to be properly funded. We know where our gaps in service are. We know we need 62 new fire stations. We need to double the size of our firefighters. The growth of this city since 1960 has doubled, and we have less fire stations. Since 2010, we've had an increase, doubled our call volume, which is firefighters responding to calls, 55% increase with 68 less firefighters. Our firefighters need to be properly funded so that they can do their jobs.
My thoughts are, I'm sure that's true. I agree with you. A lot of things can be true at the same time. They need a lot more help. There's nothing anybody could have done for these fires. The systems needed to fight a fire on this scale do not exist anywhere in the world. You're talking about thousands of buildings on fire at the same time and no air support because the winds are so strong. This is a different fire. I mean, this is a once in a century, to say the least, situation in California. An area 4 times the size of Manhattan was burning simultaneously. That just doesn't, there's no way to fight it any better than what's happening with those winds. But that said, find me a fire chief that doesn't want more funding and find me a fire chief that doesn't deserve more funding. I mean, it's all true. And the city of Los Angeles is going to be doing decades of rethinking and rebuilding. And it's just under all this, is a nightmare. It's a horrible, horrible situation. Yeah. And our hearts are still with everybody suffering from this. Over the weekend, I found 3 friends of mine, personal people that I really know in my life, one from college, one from high school, and a third from my late 20s, all lost everything they own. They left their house racing into their car, and all of them lost everything. And that's just 3 people out of thousands in that situation. It's just an absolute nightmare. Number 4 on your top 5 at 6. How about this? Zachary Liho, I believe is how his name is pronounced. A 19-year-old was charged with breaking into a water reservoir in West St. Paul back in November. Why did he break into the water reservoir? He wasn't thirsty. He just thought it'd be cool to go fishing.
Yeah, let him go. It's fine.
In the water reservoir.
Yeah. Probably got some good walleye in there, maybe some panfish, I would guess, right?
Yeah.
Now, last I checked, water reservoirs are full of drinking water. The water that's supposed to eventually be in our pipes to drink. A 5 million gallon tank, if you will, underground tank. They heard there were fish in there, and then this kid, Zachary, told police that he likes making fishing videos in obscure places.
Yeah, good for him. This kid's a freaking hero.
Yeah, I mean, no kidding. Man, look, I spent one day at the fishing open, and I'm like, dude, I feel you. That's all it took. That's all it took for me. You know, he's got a little Deion Sanders in him, this kid, because Deion Sanders famously arrested on the grounds of the Orlando, Florida airport once because there was a pond somewhere in the airport, and he jumped a fence with a fishing pole while being an NFL player in the early 90s. And police surrounded him, and they were like, oh, Deion? And he's like, I could tell they were biting.
Yeah. Oh, you're a celebrity. You can go.
Yeah,
you're fine. Get out of here.
In the mid-90s, it was good to be Deion Sanders in the state of Florida. I'll just say that. Number 3 on your top 5 at 6. How about this? We all sleep the way we sleep. It's really difficult to one day decide, you know what, I'm going to sleep on my back from now on. If you're a side sleeper, if you're a back sleeper, sleep on your side, it's probably going to be a hard thing to do. However, studies have found recently that the types of dreams you have very well may be connected to the position you sleep in. How about this? Number 1, people who sleep on their left side are most likely to have nightmares. Well, that explains that.
Yeah, you're a left side sleeper. All right.
I'm a left side sleeper, and man, do I have some awful dreams. People who sleep on their right side are more likely to have dreams where they feel relief or safety.
Okay.
Like a wet dream?
Well, no, that's people who sleep face down are more likely to have sex dreams, possibly because they're getting less air, which makes them feel like they're being bound and or restrained. Okay, this took a turn.
That's kinky.
This took a turn. Yeah.
I like it.
If the thought of sex immediately puts you in a state of wanting to be bound and or restrained, okay then, fair enough. Sleeping on your stomach will bring that up, apparently.
Yeah.
I'm coming from an old school, the Midwestern Irish Catholic school of, well, sex dreams and nightmares are not mutually exclusive. Trust me when I say that. So, I mean, I think the less said about that, the better. But I know a lot of people out there know exactly where I'm going. Number 2 on your top 5 at 6. Check this out. A woman from Kansas City, in an attempt to get what I guess was her dream body, she had 6 ribs. 6 of her own ribs removed in order to achieve a smaller waist.
Oh.
Yep. Yeah, that's how you do it.
$17,000 elective cosmetic surgery, removing 6 ribs to end up with a smaller waist. I mean, call me crazy. I clearly don't know much about the body. I don't think about ribs and waist size having such a direct correlation, but clearly they do. This woman had to wear a corset around the clock afterwards to help with the swelling. And then, oh, by the way, in case that's not enough, she plans to take the ribs, which she has, and she's going to have someone make a crown out of them.
Oh, okay, psycho. Yeah, you're fun. She's a demon in the sack. Here's Emily.
I got my ribs removed. I got them removed for cosmetic purposes. These are my rib bones. There's 6 of them. This one's so tiny and small and petite. They let me keep them. Plan on having someone make a crown and incorporate my bone pieces in there and shave them down.
I mean, I'll do anything for $1. I've dressed up as a skunk to stand in a grocery store handing out cans of soda.
Yeah.
But these cosmetic surgeons, so you want 6 ribs out, make your waist smaller. All right, lay down. What in the hell? Sometimes you just got to go, you're crazy. All right, there's a clinic right across the street for you. We're not the place.
Yeah, that clinic across the street is what they used to call a sanatorium.
Yeah.
Or sanitarium, I should say. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Would you? Well, let me ask you this: for $17,000, would you remove someone else's ribs?
Yes, I would.
Okay.
I'm looking at her bag of ribs here. She literally has. I don't know. If any of you have ever cut up your own deer or whatever, slaughtered some deer or something like that. I mean, I guess, or if you work in a slaughterhouse, you get the ribs left over after you have boned the meat off. She's just got a bag of ribs right there. Might make a nice creepy bone crown. But her waist is so svelte.
When I saw the headline, a woman from Kansas City removed 6 ribs, my first thought was this was a barbecue story, of course, because of Kansas City barbecue.
Yeah.
So far, no sign of barbecue ribs involved in this story. But we'll let you know if she updates her plans and she goes from the crown to a nice marinade. Want to give a quick morning shout out to a town of Zimmerman, Minnesota. Good morning, Zimmerman. Happy to have you with us on a
Hardee's
Monday
is open.
Morning. Yeah, damn straight it is. Hey, tell me, Zep, do they have a nice breakfast sandwich up there at that Hardee's?
Oh, well, Steve, since you asked, they have the Frisco breakfast sandwich, which is a piece de resistance of breakfast sandwiches. It's something else right there on County Road 4. Good morning. I miss you.
Good morning. I know where someone's heading as soon as the show ends. And so number one in your top 5 at 6, as I already mentioned, Vikings-Rams tonight. The game is being played in Arizona. This is Harrison Smith's 200th game, all with the Vikings, of course. And as I mentioned, I'm listening to people just slobber all over this Rams team all weekend, and I'm starting to get a little, oh, come on now. But the fact that it's in Arizona, I think you're going to have more than 50% of that stadium will be Vikings fans. I'm just going to imagine. I don't think Rams fans travel quite like Vikings fans. The winner will go to Philly. That is a winnable game for sure next week.
For whom? Kansas City?
No, I'm not impressed with the Eagles right now. I'm sorry. I'm not saying it's a sure bet, but it's better than going to Baltimore or Detroit or there's a handful of teams. Well,
Yeah.
I guess we should only talk about the NFC side. I'd rather not go to Detroit again. I'd rather not go to Philly. I was hoping Green Bay would win that game, but they didn't. Philly did. You know what? I buried the lead. The Packers lost. Ha ha ha.
I mean, it's merciful, isn't it? I mean, are you ready for this frickin' season to be over? I watched a bunch of football this weekend, and I can't. I'm done. I'm checking out. I'm going to watch downhill skiing. How's Lindsey Vonn doing?
Real quick, what do you think? Is it time for the Steelers to make a change?
No. Hell
Okay.
no.
All right. Hell no.
Why
That's
make a change? They stick with the black and gold. I love it. It looks good on him. White away, black at home. Stick with it.
Very good. All right, there's your top 5 at 6 for a Monday. Hey, it's Monday. You know what that means. Monday morning leftovers. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
It's a Monday morning around here, so therefore we got to get clear. We got to clear out the Monday morning leftovers. Some stories we meant to get to last week but didn't, so let's just give you your last chance here. You probably know how this works by now. I'm going to give you a few headlines, tease a few stories, and then I'll give you a keyword. If you want to hear that particular story, you text the keyword to the KQ Talk and text line 651-989-ROCK. 651-989-ROCK. So, the first story we have, a members-only Bring Your Own Cannabis Club is coming to North Minneapolis. If you want to hear about that, the word is weed.
I suspect this is going to be somebody's garage.
Right. It's my buddy Stoney's garage, and you don't have to bring your own weed. I think it's open to the public. By the way, I've already texted him the word weed this morning.
It's that
Stoney,
one,
weed.
It's that garage on the north side. You know the one. They never take the Christmas lights down. That's the one. How about this story? A Wisconsin man accused of pleasuring himself inside a Kenosha grocery store. There's more to that story, apparently. If you want to hear about that, text the word Scotty. Scotty to 651-989-ROCK. This is troubling news for some of us, including yours truly. Pick your nose. You are risking the sanctity of your own mind. There's apparently detrimental effects shown for picking your own nose. If you want to know what you're doing to yourself, text the word bugger to 651-989-ROCK. We've got a butt slapper on the loose. A serial butt slapper is on the loose somewhere in these United States. The keyword to text, if you want to hear about that, is spank. Spank.
Hello.
Just a great word, spank.
Yeah,
I like saying spank. 651-989-ROCK. Okay, check this out. A story of crime. You always see people when you want to knock off a liquor store, a grocery store, a Minute Mart, whatever. A lot of times you have the person who's going to do the heist, and then you've got the person who operates the distraction. Comes up with, I dropped a bottle of booze in the corner, and the guy from the clerk, he gets distracted, and suddenly the register's left open. If you want to hear about a woman who distracted, oh my God, I can't even say it. I'm going to say it. A woman who relieved herself on the floor, and I mean real relief, to distract employees.
Big potty?
Text the word dump, D-U-M-P, to 651-989-ROCK. All right, 2 more. Scientists apparently now in a laboratory have grown a human spine. Oh, my God. All right, text the word spine, 651-989-ROCK. And then finally, here's a good rock story for you. The most popular rock band tattoos. What do you think those? Think about that. What bands get tattooed? The names of those bands tattooed more often than others. The most popular rock band tattoos. We've got the numbers for you. That word, the key word is tattoo. So, again, members only bring your own cannabis club coming to North Minneapolis. Text the word weed. Wisconsin man accused of pleasing himself in a Kenosha grocery store. Text the word scrawny. Pick your nose. Risk your brain. That's booger. Sometimes the things that come out of my mouth just make me laugh. A serial butt slapper. If you want to hear about that, text the word spank. A woman taking care of business on a heist. Distraction without peer. The word is dump. Scientists growing a human spine in a laboratory. Good God almighty. That word is spine. And finally, the most popular rock band tattoos. If you want to hear about that, text the word tattoo. Get it? Got it? 651-989-ROCK. We will clean up the Monday morning leftovers after we have a look back. It's January 13th. Man, rough day for some Minnesota sports. A couple of stories for you. On this day in 1968, Bill Masterson, a 30-year-old winger for the Minnesota North Stars, was checked into the boards, hit his head on the ice, and 2 days later died of his brain injuries.
Oh, damn.
The only player in NHL history to die as a direct result from an injury suffered on the ice. North Stars Bill Masterson. He was the first player to sign with Minnesota in their expansion season. He was the first man to score a goal for the Minnesota North Stars. And he is the first and only player in NHL history to die on the ice. Terrible story.
That's why they made the helmet mandatory in 1969. Or wait, 1999, 2009? When was that again?
It was a little bit, yeah. They great-grandfathered that one in. They took their sweet time. They certainly did. On this day in 1974, not nearly as tragic as the Bill Masterson story, but the Miami Dolphins went back-to-back and proving that undefeated season was not a fluke. They won Super Bowl VIII over the Minnesota Vikings. 24-7. I definitely remember that game as a, 9-year-old, 8-year-old, I guess. I was going to be 9. But, watching that game and thinking, man, I really thought the Vikings were going to pull the upset of the century here. It didn't happen. Alan Page, after the game, was asked how his team could look so poor on defense. And he said, all I was thinking out there is we need a shotgun. And he didn't mean an offensive play. We can't do anything. We need to shoot these guys.
Think about it. Zonka was bigger than Alan Page. The fullback was bigger than the D tackle back then. Yeah.
A little crazy. So that was, of course, the undefeated team, the Dolphins. It wasn't. The prior year they had gone undefeated, and then they followed that up with another Super Bowl win. Pretty impressive at that stage of the NFL. On this day in 2009, here's a fun story. Let's get away from the sad Minnesota stories. In Dallas, Texas, in a girls' high school basketball game, the Covenant School beat Dallas Academy 100-0.
Come on, let him have a hoop. Not even a free throw? Nothing, huh?
It was 59-0 at halftime. They held back and only scored 41 in the second half.
All right.
To win 100-0. The head of the Covenant School then issued a public apology. The coach refused to sign it and was fired. The coach said, we played with honor and integrity. It's not our fault that team didn't know how to score. By the way, the team they beat, a special learning needs school with 22 students.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
And you only scored 100?
Exactly.
Wow.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. It's the KQ Morning Show on Minnesota's Classic Rock, 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. Good Monday morning. It is January the 13th. Big ball game in Arizona tonight. The Vikings playing the Rams in what is essentially a neutral field. Home game for the Rams, but not really. I'm looking forward to the game. I'm sweating it. I'm not going to lie to you, but I'm still looking forward to watching it. Over the weekend, kind of a dud. I mean, last night's game was pretty exciting. The Commanders upsetting the Bucks, but otherwise, not a lot of great football. Hopefully tonight is a barn burner. We just gave you our list of Monday morning leftovers. You guys texted in all of your preferences to the KQ Talk text line, and now we've got your top 3 to clear off the board. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of our listeners because 18% of you texted the word weed. Yeah, glad to know that.
It is Monday.
Damn right you did. A members-only cannabis consumption lounge is opening in North Minneapolis. It's called the MAC, M-A-C Social Club. It will open on the second floor of a building at 1914 North Washington Avenue. That's above Bar Brava. So this is a lounge. It's going to be available exclusively to members. You can't just show up. You got to join this bad boy. Now, they're not selling weed, cannabis, hooch, reefer. No, not at all. It's a bring your own cannabis space. They say what they're going to provide is, quote, a spacious loft. Of course it's a loft. A spacious loft with all the amenities needed for a truly elevated experience.
All right, I've never done the cannabis club before or something like that. You know, you go to some of these places, especially when the dispensaries started opening up in Colorado, then Nevada. You'd go out to the, Vegas or something like that, and they just had pot clubs. You go in there and just that works for me if it's booze for some reason. I don't know, or hard drugs or something like that. It's got that club vibe. But when I get stoned, I'm always kind of alone, Even if there's someone else in the room, I'm alone, with the TV and my bag of Cool Ranch Doritos. I don't know about it. You got to bring your own weed. You're just, hi, I'm lonely. I have weed. Come on in. Have a seat over there by those lonely people smoking their own weed.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because, I am, the word for me and weed is siloing.
Yeah.
I go into the tunnel. It's the Steve tunnel. You get me stoned, and whether it's Doritos or it's the once-a-year bag of Bugles, it's something.
Sure.
Where I'm just going to be
like,
I can't talk, man. I mean, I can, but I really can't. And anyway, wait, did that song already play? Play that again.
Yeah.
No, it's not a social experience for me.
All right, yeah, right.
The thing that bugs me about this one is weed's generally such a great way to meet people you don't know, like strangers at a festival and stuff like this. So the thing that it's members only just kind of bums me out.
Are you thinking of X? Maybe you're thinking of X. Molly, perhaps? I don't... No, you're right. But, I like this. Instead of going down to your one of your many dive bars, Ryder, for one of our game shows, perhaps you could go over to the Cannabis Club and see what kind of answers we get out of them. They have to keep
20-minute segment.
Yeah. They have to keep their answers to 1 minute.
Now, we're going to have to, that means we got to pony up the membership fee. It's $420.
What?
Yeah, $420. $420 a year, or you can pay $69 a month. Okay, so not 70, but 69. Come on, guys.
Well, thankfully, our own state legislature has paved the way for lots of cannabis clubs. Yep. Yeah, everybody has a cannabis club now. You've created the greatest black market in the history of marijuana. I mean, everybody's growing it now. They're just giving it away. We're all getting together. Keep your dispensaries. We're doing just fine.
So let's see. The club will be open Tuesday through Saturdays. The soft opening already went down. Normal hours have already opened. You can check it out. Again, it's called the MAC, the MAC Social Club.
All right.
Go there, but you remember, you got to bring your own weed, pot, reefer, grass, dope, ganja, Mary Jane, hash, herb, skunk, boom, chronic, chiba, whatever you call it. You got to bring it. You got to bring it yourself. Yeah, started to run into the wall there. Got out while I was still sounded like I could come up with more. All right, number 2 on the Monday Morning Leftovers, 22% of our listeners said, hey, we're going to text the word spine. That's right. Scientists have grown, kind of in quotes, a human spine in a lab. They have grown officially what is called a notochord. The tissues, they say, that act as, quote, GPS for the developing embryo. It guides the formation of a spine and nervous system. They have grown a simple notochord in a lab, and what they're hoping is that this lab-grown spinal tissue will give them insights into spine-related birth defects and other intravertebral discs, the cushy tissue, the discs that lies in between your vertebrae. I immediately assume somebody will take this knowledge and use it to harm the human race, but apparently so far, no, they're really just trying to get some insight into spinal birth defects. So hey, go science. Get on that one.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's worthy, but it always gets twisted, right? When you run it through the old American, we're going to end up with a Dr. Frankenstein here.
That's Frankenstein.
I'm sorry.
Exactly right. One of the scientists said, now that we've created a model which works, this study opens doors to study developmental conditions which we've been in the dark about. I, for one, am still very much in the dark about whatever it is I just talked about. I'm just reading the verbiage, but the fact that they have what is basically the building blocks of a human spine grown in a lab, it's like, Maybe one day we can clone our dogs. I don't know. That's where my brain goes.
Still trying to grow pot. I can't even get that done. I mean, God, it's tricky.
It is.
Don't turn the light off. You got to leave it on 247.
Oh, I know.
I'm sure you did have that one friend, as I did in the early 80s. You'd go to their apartment, and there would just be like a small room that was really, really brightly lit.
Yes.
Exactly 2 pot plants growing, and you're like, really, dude? Like, no, man, it's going to be good. Like 2 plants. Like, all right, cool. And by the way, you're risking like jail term for 2 pot plants back in the day.
Federal crime, yeah.
All right, I've never been more proud of our listeners because the number 1 pick with 35% of the vote, the word booger was texted it in. That's right. Pick your nose, risk your mind. What's the old song? Free your mind and your ass will follow?
Yeah.
Well, pick your nose and Alzheimer's will follow. That's right. A study has revealed it's a tenuous but plausible link between picking your nose and increasing your risk of developing dementia.
All right.
I am walking proof that no, sorry, not yet. Because, boy, I'm from a long line of nose pickers. I'm just telling you. In cases where if you pick your nose that damages internal tissues, for the people that are really digging deep, critical species of bacteria are given a much clearer path to the brain, and the brain responds to their presence in what appears to be early stages of Alzheimer's disease.
Yeah.
So now I don't know that I'm damaging internal tissue in my nasal passage.
You're not digging for gold.
When I'm digging for gold, because I've got a very sensitive set of fingertips, and I can find exactly what I'm looking for. I'm proud of my ability to get in and get out without external damage, exterior, no peripheral damage, I should say.
You got a favorite finger, or do you mix it up a little bit? Like if it's deep, if it's way up there, sometimes you got to go in with the pinky.
Oh yeah. Oh.
Get that all the way up there and try and hook it.
If Pinky Piper picked a peck of Pinky Peppers, I'm a Pinky picker. But what's really changed, what I do have to admit, that there could have been some damage because once COVID hit and everybody was washing their hands every 16 minutes and not touching your face, that finally broke me of my lifelong habit of biting my nails. I used to chew my nails like crazy. And I don't do that anymore. And I'm still adjusting. 5 years on, I'm still like, life with fingernails. I never knew what I was missing. But I've gone for a pick and been like, I kind of scratched the inside of my nose because I'm not used to having that dagger attached to the end of my index finger.
Deadly weapon, man.
So maybe I should back down on this. Maybe back off, I should say. I
like the fact that dementia won't immediately make you back off of nose picking, but the fact that you might cut your inner tender nose, that'll do the trick.
They do say once you get over 65, the risk factor goes up across the board. So I still got 5 years. Okay, you know what? That's it. My 65th birthday. Well, I'll pick my last. I'll go in for my last rich vein of gold ore. And then I'll call it a day. Then I will retire a champion. Wyoming, Minnesota. Glad to have you with us this morning up there in Wyoming.
Oh, yeah.
Where they just like to hide right off the interstate, don't they? No, nothing good on here. Don't mind us.
Yep.
Keep going north.
No. We got the best kept secret. Is that what they call themselves? Wyoming, we're the best kept secret in Minnesota?
I think so.
It's got a ring to it. I'd go with it. We mentioned last week a pretty crazy story about a veterinarian procedure gone wrong. A woman brought her dog to the vet and was terrorized and traumatized to discover what was inside her dog. Ever had to bring your pet to the vet for a really bizarre reason? Dog, cat, gerbil, whatever you got. Boy, I've got a humdinger or two in my life as a pet owner. Crazy things you had to bring your pet in for. We'd love to hear from you. 651-989-ROCK is the KQ Talk and Text line. You can hit the KQRS Facebook page as well. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It's Monday morning. Egad. But at least we got football tonight to look forward to. Vikings, Rams in Arizona. Winner goes to Philadelphia. We mentioned a story last week about a woman whose dog was under the weather, took it to a vet. They did an x-ray, and there was hemostats, like a veterinary surgical scissors, basically, little pinchers that had been left behind from a prior surgery the dog had left inside the dog's abdomen. And then we got a few comments the other day, and we thought we'd bring this back around. What's the weirdest, silliest, most bizarre reason you ever took an animal to the vet? We would love to hear from you. 651-989-ROCK. You can call or send us a text with your story. The KQRS Facebook post has some page, has a few posts. What's the most ridiculous reason you brought a pet to the vet? The clubhouse leader from Facebook right now is Mike, who wrote, suspected our cat found a hit of purple microdot LSD dropped on the floor.
Oh, damn.
How can you tell if a cat is tripping? What's different? Their cats are weird. You never know what they're doing.
You know, I actually just Googled cats on acid. When I saw that post on our Facebook page, I thought, there's got to be something out there. Back in the 1970s, our United States government used to experiment on cats with LSD to see what it would do.
Really?
Yeah, cats injected with LSD exhibit a group of...
What?
I know. I mean, for the public good. I'm sure they just weren't curious. You know, like that old microwave with the cats thing.
Sure, it's the name of science. I love that.
Cats, they appear to be specific two behaviors when they're tripping balls on LSD. The limb flick. You know what the limb flick is? I didn't Google that. And abortive grooming.
Abortive grooming.
Limb flick and abortive grooming.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
That kind of, I get bored with grooming when I'm tripping. I know that. So maybe I'm not as far removed from the cats as I might think I am. If you want to share a story with us, feel free to hit us up. Ryder, do we have a phone call? Is that what I'm getting? In a moment. Also on the KQRS Facebook page, Jody wrote, $350 for x-rays and blood work over 2 days to find out my dog was constipated.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that'll happen. I too went to the ER once and was determined to be constipated. Me, not my vet, not my dog, not my cat. Me. Rushed to the ER in Valdosta, Georgia, right off the stage at a gig. Yeah. Stomach cramps, I felt like I had knives in my abdomen. Yeah. And the guy was like, son, you just need to have a bowel movement. And I was like, yeah, I know. It's been a while. Can you give me something? He goes, give you something? Why don't you just go get some Metamucil? I was like, can you just give me a shot of something?
Doctor, man.
It's a little something I call roadblock. You know, I was on the road for a year. Things were going crazy. I was stressed. Hey, things go sideways sometimes. But anyway, I feel your pain, because, hey, sometimes it's your dog. Sometimes it's you. Hey, what are you going to do? All right, we got Jackie on the phone on the KQ Talk and Text line. Jackie, good morning. Jackie should be there. Hey, good morning. Jackie. Good morning. Give me your favorite band. First things first.
Okay, what?
Favorite band. What is it?
Favorite band. Oh, my gosh. The Rolling Stones, of course.
Of course, Jackie. Give me your favorite team. Any sport.
Vikings.
Atta girl. Let's do it. All right, Jackie, give us your story.
All right, so my son's dog was walking around in circles upstairs, and she kept salivating, acting like she wanted to walk up the stairs more. And I thought, what's going on with this dog for 3 hours? I called my son. I said, I think she's on her way out. So everybody gathered. We're all bummed out. Take her to the vet. And here they drug tested her. This dog was high on meth.
Oh,
wow.
I have never seen anything so bizarre in my life. I tape recorded it. After that, everybody was like, oh, man, she's got a drug-addicted dog over there. Yeah, needless to say, that boyfriend of my daughter won't be coming over anymore.
Oh, my gosh. That's terrible.
Yeah, it was bizarre.
I imagine so. Man,
dog
ended up okay, though, ultimately? Was the dog all right?
Oh, yeah, she was fine.
Okay.
Yeah, she came back home and had nerve enough to sniff around and try to find some more.
Well, sure, that's how that works.
Yeah, right.
She's not the first.
No, I'm sure not.
She had a good story for the other dogs at the dog park. Hey, where you
No
been?
kidding.
Where you been? Oh, I got a story for you, man. Jackie, thanks for the call. That's a horrible story with a decent ending, at least.
Trying to think of Fry.
Take care.
See ya.
You know, Fry, the Australian Shepherd on meth, might actually just be.
Oh my God.
Might just rocket right to the moon. Might be like that Acme rocket, a Wile E. Coyote, and just launch right to the moon. Fry has gone in. Because apparently makeup is quite expensive for the ladies. If you get the good stuff.
All right, yeah.
My daughter had ordered like over $100 worth of makeup and put it on top of her, I don't know, one of those 6-drawer dressers. Rather tall for a little Aussie Shepherd. But he got up there and he got it. And not only did he eat all the makeup, but he ate her brush too. And I went, oh my God, where's the brush? She goes, he ate it. I go, I mean, the party didn't eat. He goes, Dad, he ate the entire brush. I was like, oh, yeah, he's got to go in. He was just laying there moaning and whining.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
My limited experience with Aussie Shepherds has taught me that what you really need is constant sedation.
Yeah. What's the opposite of meth? Maybe just, blow a little pot in his face, right?
Our good friend Chauncey Gorman was rushed to the hospital once when he ate his sister, our other dog Zelda, who's no longer with us. Zelda, I brought home her prescription for her hips were going, and she had a nice pain pill that she would take just to help her get up and down the stairs. Put that jar on the kitchen counter, walked out of the room, came back 5 minutes later, and I was like, where's Zelda's pills?
Oh.
And I walked in, not 5 minutes, probably 15 minutes later. And then I go to the front room, and Chauncey is laying under the dining room table, a place he normally likes to lay down, but he usually balls up, like in a ball the way dogs do. But he was under the table on his side with his eyes open and his mouth open next to an empty pill jar.
Oh.
60 pills.
Right,
down
the snake.
chute. Yeah, that was a quick call to the vet, who then gave me the poison vet number. Call that. They said, what was it? And then they told me the place of the ER vet. Come to this address, to the specialized clinic. 5 days later, can't begin to even admit the cost later. Oh, my Lord.
Oh.
He was in the ICU, the dog ICU, overdose. Almost whacked his kidneys out, but he came back strong.
Thank God he didn't belong to a farmer.
That's it, man.
He wouldn't have made it very far. Out to the tree strip, maybe. Sometimes it's not the animals. Sometimes it's the owners. I wonder if any vets have stories like this. Ellen, I was convinced that my dog had ticks on his chest, so I drove him over 90 minutes away to the vet, only to find out that the bumps were just his nipples. Ellen, if you had a dog before, if you had any animals.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Okay.
Here's one. My dog was lying on the bed watching TV with the family, started making a really strange crying sound. Somehow he managed to get his claw stuck in his own eyelid. Oh, my
What?
God.
How?
$550 later, the vets were able to return him to his tail-wagging, fully visioned self. Yeah, and by the way, try to get that dog to calm down as he's ripping his eyelid apart with his own nail. Here's another text. My dog sprained her tail wagging it too hard. That's
a very happy dog.
I think what you're telling me is you had a Labrador Retriever, or a golden
Right.
lab. It's one of those. Oh my gosh, these are crazy. There's more of the. Yeah, I've seen several people. There's another one on the Facebook page. People that are apparently unaware of the fact that dogs, even male dogs, have nipples. Go figure. Yeah, they're all over there. They're all over the dogs. Yeah, all right.
And they love tinsel. I see on the big national list we have here, tinsel. And then also on the KQ Facebook page, a dog that likes to eat and poop tinsel. Well, it sounds colorful.
Michelle texted in, my 6-month-old boxer kept eating my thong underwear. We had to bring him in for surgery. They got stuck in his intestines. Yowza.
I mean, there's not a lot there. Have you ever seen one of those things just laying on the floor?
Yeah, very little material.
Yeah, no.
They go for something with more meat on the bone or whatever.
Yeah, right. Some tidy whities.
Speaking of the bone, Big Al texted in, my Rottweiler found my girlfriend's toy and decided to use it as a chew toy.
No.
He activated it and then ate it.
Oh.
It was surgically removed. It was still running when the vet removed it.
That's an ad in there somewhere for that.
It really
Very
is.
durable. Those things are expensive, though.
The girlfriend left me the next week because of the incident.
What?
Oh, man. Well, did she at least let you keep the toy? I mean,
Yeah. God.
Jeez. Okay, so underwear is a pretty common one. The tinsel's weird. How about this from a veterinarian? A riding crop for a horse. A dog ate a horse's riding crop. Yeah.
Okay.
How about this? A needle and thread.
Oh, ouch.
If that made it down the esophagus into the stomach, that dog's lucky. How does that not? You get a needle down without poking about 19 holes? Oh, that's terrible.
Might have some badass stomach acid,
I could be. I like this one. A Barbie doll head without hair. Man.
There was a brother involved, I'm sure of it.
100% a fact right there. That's a family with more than one kid. A rubber chicken. Okay, here's a weird one. A whole baked potato.
I've done that.
A baked potato wouldn't seem very problematic. If a dog shoves down a whole raw potato, I could see that being a bit. I have a friend who had a very large dog. It was a Great Dane mixed with something else, and it was one of the biggest dogs I've ever seen. And that dog started acting strange, not doing well, 2 days without taking a dump. They took him to the vet, and the vet x-rayed him and then said, we got to go in. He's got a blockage. And it was a Nerf football.
Oh.
A Nerf football in 2 pieces, but it was the whole thing. He just ripped that thing in half and swallowed part number 2. And I thought to myself, yeah, that's... no one needs a dog. If your dog's big enough to eat a Nerf football, then take it to a farm and let it just run free. That's not an animal you need in your house. That's the way I would look at that.
Yeah. No kidding. My God. I was just getting into Paul's. Paul, we might have to save yours for the break. It's a rather long one. Could be a good one. The last line is THC is toxic to dogs. All right. Something to keep in mind.
That's very good. THC can be toxic to a lot of things. We did start to talk about this. Another story that I want to dive back into. Bartenders know a lot of things, but and one of those things I would like to think is hangover cures. Bartenders, unite. Let's go. We want to hear from you. Best hangover cures, best bartender stories. 651-989-ROCK. Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. It's the KQ Morning Show on Minnesota's Classic Rock, 92 KQRS.
Good Monday morning. It is January the 13th. Glad to have you with us as we're rolling slowly but surely into the week. Big football game tonight. The Vikings and Rams out in Arizona. Big football weekend just behind us. The Packers lost.
Yes.
It's always a good weekend, I guess.
It's always a good weekend. Let's bring the Vikings and Lions fans together. How about that, Ryder? We love seeing the Packers lose. A game that showed me there's some vulnerabilities within that Eagles team. So if the Vikings take care of business tonight against the Rams, they go to Philadelphia, they got a shot. Either one of those teams has a shot. Philadelphia not as Philadelphia looked a lot better about a month ago to me than they do as of late.
Yeah,
I'll leave it there.
Yeah, Hurts didn't look all that spectacular yesterday. We'll see. Got the Rams to get by here tonight, and I think they beat the Rams tonight. I really do. I
think so too.
That unfortunately extends the season another week.
Just the inevitable drop off to what now?
I'm a 14-game season kind of guy. 17, just too many. And that's spread out over 18 weeks. It's just too damn long. Fatigue, man.
You know what? I agree with that. I wouldn't go all the way back to 14, but I was very comfortable with 16 for a really long time. Because I still think I still have to do the math. You know, I'm like, I'm used to saying 8 and 8, 9 and 7. 10 and 7 just doesn't sound right to me when you're going about the record. 17 games, it just confuses me to this day. I mean, it's only been a few years of it, but
yeah.
I'm and now they're saying they're going to move to 18 soon enough. That's absolutely too much because they'll add a second bye week for an 18-week season for every team. So let's just never pull the plug. Let's just play year round, guys.
Good God Almighty.
Let's double each roster, 106-man roster, and we never take off. Let's just do that. For crying out loud. We were discussing earlier in the show just a few bizarre trips to the vet that we've all taken our pets. On the text line, so here's the text. 16 years with an Aussie, Zepp, Aussie Shepherd.
Oh, yeah.
And I could list over a dozen items that he ate, but two that come to mind. An entire pot of fondue oil that my husband put outside to cool and forgot about. Oh, my God. Think about that. I mean, I don't know what that does to the Aussie Shepherd, but I can't imagine it's pleasant on any level.
No.
And then also peanut butter scented decon tablets that were left underneath rocks along the house, again, by my husband. So help me. Peanut butter scented decon tablets.
All right. Yeah, I suppose that attracts the rats then, the rodents, the outdoor critters, and dogs, and the neighborhood cats, so what have you. Yeah.
Boy, nothing like a dog nothing like having an Aussie Shepherd, a brilliant dog, but it can't stop eating things. It's like having the smartest idiot in the world. You know what I mean? You're just like, my God, you can do simple math, but you're eating fondue oil. What's wrong with you?
That's right. Yeah, Taylor sent me a video of him yesterday. I think it was yesterday, rolling around in the snow. And you're like, oh, just look, he's totally spazzing out in the snow. And she just stopped the video at 4 minutes. You know how long it is to watch? I mean, you watch a 4-minute video on your phone, it feels like you've just watched Gone with the Wind or something, right?
Yeah.
A Martin Scorsese flick. And then she just went, okay, and then just stopped it. Yeah, as far as I know, he's still sitting out there in that dog park up in Maple Grove somewhere, rolling around in the frickin' snow.
I know a lot of dogs. I mean, we had a dog that was a half Rottweiler, half Lab, Clementine. She's the smartest dog ever, greatest dog ever, hands down. But that said, Aussie Shepherds and Border Collies, they're just on a whole other planet.
Yeah, they are.
Just the things those dogs figure out how to do, if you don't take the time to teach them how you want them to do it, they'll drive a damn car if you're not careful. And they'll drive a car and take care of your fondue oil. So that's a good double dip right there. On the Facebook page, Michelle wrote, our lab, as in a dog, our lab had to have emergency surgery to have a blockage removed. It was a Barbie leg, my underwear, and some sticks. It's a hearty combination. You know, to this, Chauncey eats. He loves paper towels, any sort of tissue. Like if you clean up,
which I've done in Studio C. I've dropped a tissue on the floor, and you're like,
right there, boom.
Better grab. Yeah, you're like, oh no, I dropped it, and Steve's like, oh, what did you drop there? And I was like, oh, it's a tissue. I'm sorry, I'll grab that. He goes, oh, that's okay. Chauncey can eat that. I'm like, well, I did already use it. So
no.
Lots of protein in it.
As a dog who shares his phlegm with the world, it's sort of payback. No, eat this snotted up tissue, Chauncey. See what it's like to live with you for a while. And by the way, someone followed up the Christmas tree tinsel we talked about earlier. A dog ate all the Christmas tree tinsel, and then to follow up, that was, by the way, an Aussie Shepherd. Yes.
Yeah.
That's how it goes.
Just crazy psychos, Tasmanian devils.
That's exactly what they are. But almost as bad as the average drunk at a bar. Bartenders. I've never tended bar. Have you ever been a bartender even for a day, Zepp or Ryder? Either one of you ever tended bar?
Haven't had the pleasure.
No, I did one. Well, no, I did a couple of times. I'm forgetting the name of the bar over in St. Paul. I went down and did one of those, I'm using the quotation, celebrity bartending nights. But then one time I did a private party when I was living in Montana because I was told that Tom Brady and Gisele Bundchen were going to be there.
Okay.
I was like, what? Yeah. And I got paid $500 to just sit there and pour beer and wine, for crying out loud. I'm like, that's not even bartending. But they did not show up. Their kids, however, did. So I got to see their bratty little kids.
Oh, great. I guess you'd call it a bar back briefly. I worked at a club. I was the doorman, and then I would fill in and do other things as needed. And there were many times when I was just stocking the coolers behind the bartenders. And standing at the bar, the thing I was mostly struck by was how often people just urinate in bars. Not the bathroom, just at the bar. And even standing at the bar, guys will just open up and just let it loose, and they think no one's going to notice somehow.
Yeah.
And in a few shifts of like being back there, I watched a guy, this is all of this is true, because I realized what I'm about to say is going to sound like I'm making this up. I watched a guy climb onto his bar stool to stand up He was blind. He was a blind regular at the bar. Everyone knew him.
Okay.
All right.
His name was Jim, and Jim was blind. And he stood on top. He got onto his stool, holding a beer in one hand, waving his other hand around. There was a band playing, and he said over the music, as he yelled the following, he pissed himself. Just didn't whip it out, just right down in his pants. We watched his dockers turn dark as he was peeing himself. This is what he screamed: "If it feels good, do it. If it smells good, eat it."
Well, Jim, buddy.
But he had almost like a Tom Waits growl, so it was like, "If it feels good, do it." And then all of a sudden, well, it does feel good, and he's doing it. He's peeing himself. If it smells good, eat it. And then the bartender was a guy named Jeremy, and Jeremy looked at me, and he goes, I go, no, I'm not going. No, that's you, dude. No, I'm just filling this cooler with Foster's oil cans. That's you. You are the bartender. And he went to take care of our buddy Jim.
No better compliment, I think, to a bar staff than Jim jumping up there in the stool and going all fountain on you. This happened in Las Vegas.
That's what it was.
This happened in Las Vegas, and it was on a KQ morning show trip, and I was not alone. Maybe you're out there listening, or maybe you remember this. I got a group together, and we went over to the Double Down Saloon, a little saloon well off the strip, just a dive bar, because they serve ass juice. Home of the world-famous ass juice. From our ass to your glass.
Okay.
Is the name of it. And you don't know what's in there. It's kind of juicy. I mean, like citrusy. It doesn't taste bad. It doesn't taste what I would think ass juice would taste like, but that's their gimmick. And you walk in and someone's spray painted on the wall inside there, "Get drunk." It's one of those kind of places.
Yeah.
And I watch about 5 young dudes come rolling in, and they're like, "We want your most expensive shot of tequila." And I don't know what it was. The guy's like, "It's $150 a shot." And the guy's like, "Come on." And he takes the shot of tequila for all 6 guys, and then they start chirping like birds. And the first guy throws it in his mouth, and then and they're doing the bird thing, the wings with their arms, elbows and everything. And then he spits it in the next guy's mouth. And that guy spits it in the next guy's mouth. And that guy spits, and we just sat, we're on a 3-day drunk, and I'm with some pretty crazy people from Minnesota in Las Vegas, and we just sat there, mouths agape, like we're just a bunch of beginners. We're not in Vegas. We're a bunch of idiots. We just well be in Brainerd doing this. We're nothing compared to these guys. Yeah. Yeah,
I'll put that right on the list alongside things I will never do with my closest male friends. I'll put that right next to the elephant walk. It's just not going to happen. That's just not what I'm interested in doing. There's a lot of things I'm interested in pursuing at a bar. That's not on the list.
Nope.
That's not even close to the list. That reminds me, speaking of really drunk people at bars, and then also thinking of really great hangover cures, I bet there's a lot of old KQ morning show trip stories people could share with us. Let's get in the Wayback Machine. If you've got a story specifically from a KQ trip
that does not have to do with me,
that does not have to do with Brian Zett.
A lot of that stuff's still being litigated.
I'm happy to contextualize it. Let's just stick it there because I've had some fun on some KQ events in 2 years, but apparently in the old days, dinosaurs used to roam the earth, as they say, on the old KQ trips, down to the islands and out to Vegas. Come on, man. 651-989-ROCK. I know you've got some stories out there. We're going to stay right here on this subject matter because there's nothing better on a sober Monday morning than to talk about how ridiculous you were when you were drunk. And before we move on right now, Buffalo, Minnesota. Good morning.
I was just thinking about that. I wonder if they're going to have they have a festival down there. I hope they still do it. I hosted it many, many years ago, Kites on Ice Festival. You guys ever been down to that? They just get out there on the ice and fly kites and drink beer, and there's dog sled rides and all that stuff. I think it's usually early February, Buffalo, Minnesota, if you want to take a drive out Olson Memorial.
Beer and flying kites on the ice, I'm in. They're taking away my sled dog race in Excelsior, so maybe it's time to fly a kite on the ice in Buffalo.
There you go.
Hope springs eternal. All right, let's look back. Tell us your crazy ass drunk stories, especially if you got one from a KQ trip. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
quickly. We were talking about the most ridiculous reasons we took our dogs or cats or pets to the vet or things we saw our pets do. Jason from Burnsville. 20 years ago, I had a 4-month-old yellow lab. My girlfriend and I were having some, as he put in quotes, bedroom fun, which I assume doesn't mean a game of Twister. Afterwards, and he says, afterwards, the condom was nowhere to be found. I peeked over to the side of the bed to see the puppy looking up at me. We all know where this is going. I followed the dog around for the next 2 days, and sure enough, it eventually started to poop out.
And then a litter came just a few months later.
Unfortunately...
Looked just like him. Had his eyes.
Unfortunately, he was only able to get part of it out, and I had to extract the rest of it by hand. Dogs eating condom stories, there's always two parts. My dog ate my condom, and I had to help him get it out.
That's why you don't use condoms. I mean, don't have dogs. I mean, don't have
sex?
No, that's not an option.
Two English bulldogs spent a year on the road with the Black Crowes in the early 90s. Our singer had 2 English bulldogs.
Fun.
And brought them on the bus and just snorting and farting and all manner of things. And
they fit right in.
There were no doubt about it. The two stories that everybody remembered the most at some point were occasionally what the story we just told from at a hotel be like, I think one of the dogs ate a condom. So anyway, then there would be the nameless band assistant whose job it was to follow the dog around.
Yeah.
I didn't get on the road to follow a dog and pull a condom out of his ass, but okay, I guess I did. But then the other one was we played at Boise State University, and the football field, they have that blue turf.
Oh, yeah. It's hard to watch.
We played like the gym on campus, and then a few of us were just walking around, and I walked down I was like, I got to go see that blue turf. And I watched not one but 2 bulldogs run free on the blue turf. Yeah. And right about, I'd love to say it was the 50-yard line. It was really like the 45. Not one, but both bulldogs just dropped a giant deuce right there on the blue turf. And I was like, I'm a responsible dog owner, but they weren't my dogs. And I was like, there's something poetic about that. Beautiful, pristine blue AstroTurf. And those 2 dogs they got they got the memo. They knew what to do.
Nice.
And they left it right there. We've got Jack from St. Paul is on the horn right now with a story. Jack, good morning, sir.
Well, good morning.
Jack, give me your favorite band.
Uriah Heep.
What? I like that. Not a lot of Heep on this show. Well played, sir. Big fan of the Heep. Give me your favorite team.
One the other day.
Oh, I'm glad to know that. Give me your favorite team, any sport.
The Wild.
That'll work. That's a pretty good darn hockey team right now. All right, Jack, what do you got for us? What's your story?
1978.
I like it already.
Brainerd, Minnesota. We lost our first 2 games, so we decided we'd go for the beer trophy.
Yeah.
Nice.
We get to this little bar just out of town, south of Brainerd. We walk in, there's like 4 couples, all in their probably early 60s. 2 female bartenders, younger, and their friends. And we're sitting there, had a couple beers, and we start yelling, "Take it off! Strip! Come on!" Well, about 2 minutes later, they turned around, looked at us drunk guys, and said, "Strip! Come on! Take it off!" Well, we did get up on top of the tables and take it off to our jock straps.
Oh, boy.
And then we got down and started dancing around by these seniors. They left. One of them must have called the cops, because about 10 minutes later we hear sirens. And we're grabbing our clothes and running out the back door before they get there. And the one guy couldn't find his shirt. So the next day, one of these girls walks out by the softball field, finds us with our shirts on, comes up and says, "What do you guys forgot these last night?" I don't know if they had fun or not, but we had a riot. We did not win the tournament. We didn't win the beer trophy, but it was a good weekend.
Long before there was Chippendales or Thunder Down Under, there was your softball team at some dive bar south of Brainerd. I love it.
Yeah, you guys.
Well, you reminded me of it when you talked about the guy standing on the bar stool. I couldn't stop laughing. I started thinking of us standing on the damn table.
You left it all in the field, brother.
I kind of forgot about it until then.
Yeah. That's fantastic. And you live to tell the tale. Thanks for the call, brother. We appreciate it. Man, that's pretty good. That good old, you know what? You can get yourself in a shocking amount of trouble in Brainerd.
I like the fact that he said, so we left the softball tournament, we had a couple of beers, and then we started stripping. You had a couple of beers, and then you started stripping. Yeah.
A couple, yeah. How much beer do you need before you start taking your clothes off in public? That's the answer everyone has to face at some point. I've never done that. I've never been there, so I guess not, I still haven't had enough beer to make that a viable opportunity, possibility.
I think about a half a bottle of Jameson. Yeah. And then wake up just a little bit late for a Vegas morning show broadcast. That's all it took for me.
Man, I tell you what, I've played through a few nights in Vegas and never had to get up and then go pretend to be on the radio. I say pretend to be on the radio because I can't imagine an all-nighter in Vegas and then suddenly you're like, yeah, let's turn on the microphones and talk. Never in any of my all-nighters would that have been an option.
Yeah, I don't know if it worked in our favor or against us, but the show, we had to be there at 3:30 in the morning. We did it on Central Time. So the show started at 4 a.m. or it's about 10 to 4 or something like that. We all had to kind of gather and be ready. So you were in no man's land there. Do you go all night? Boy, I mean, you're thinking 4 o'clock. I mean, if you're going to get any meaningful sleep, you got to go to bed by midnight. No one's doing that in Vegas, so we'll just push on through. Heck, the show will be over by 7:30, 8 o'clock, we figured, and then... then it was nappy time, and it was never nappy time in Vegas. No. We had some good times. Yeah,
that extra 2 hours makes a huge difference, no question about it. The hangover, some of the greatest and most horrific at the same concurrently best and worst moments ever are when you're in Vegas and you find yourself at that diner restaurant in the casino that's trying to look like a New York diner or an old school. It's called like Slingin' Jake's or whatever, but you go because you're just I can't play any more blackjack and it's oh my God, the sun's up. I think I'll eat some breakfast before I go to bed, and you're just sitting there and you're thinking that was the greatest worst night of my life. I mean, it's just that haze. There's a haze. There's an aura that comes around, and you're still alive somehow. It's like, yeah, it's pretty good. Pretty good. It's the worst eggs I've ever had, but somehow also the best.
A badge of honor in Vegas, yeah.
It's special like that. Vegas is very, very special like that.
Magical.
That's fantastic. I need to go back to a text really quick because we've been mentioning the fact, the Vikings have a game tonight. And every time I mention that, I say, hey, the Packers lost. And I want to say on air to a listener named Jim, he says, hey, just a friendly reminder, you do have a great deal of beloved cheeseheads listening, including myself.
Yeah.
Listen, Jim, we understand that. That's why it's important to rip on the Packers. Other than the 13 championships, what have you guys ever done the Vikings haven't? Okay?
Yeah,
but
just
you tell
Jim.
me. You got 13 championships and the Vikings have none, but what makes you so much better?
Yeah, that's it. Just all those trophies. That's all. And banners.
Whatever. So what? So that's the thing. The minute the Vikings get a Super Bowl, we'll stop. But until then, all we have is bad mouthing the Packers. Come on, we understand that we're the little kid, and the Packers are the older brother holding his arm out against our forehead, keeping us from being able to make contact to the body shot because his arms are longer. You got us on reach, you got us on everything. So just let us have the ankle biting snide comments. That's all we got.
It's our language of love. I remember a football coach at practice one time in high school said he was going to shove a football up my ass sideways. I don't know what I had done wrong. But yeah, he said that. That's when coaches, it was the 80s. Okay. That's when the coaches could talk to you like that. And there was a parent nearby, and they raised some hell about it. And the coach said, hey, I love Brian. That's my language of love. And he meant it, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. The first coach moment I ever go back to was my basketball coach. He was really mad at me. I was a junior playing basketball, and he was always on me about just get more aggressive, because I would shy away from contact. Oddly, I played soccer, and I had no problem playing sweeper with contact. And soccer to me made sense to body slam people, but I could not get my head around that on a basketball court for some reason.
It had to be outside,
it was like a weird thing with me. And he came up to me at halftime of a game, and I had been driving to the hole, and I got fouled, and I must have made it look like my arms had been broken or something, but it was just a regular foul. And he was an old country boy, and he was sorry. He looked at me and said, Gorman, By God, you are the pacifist kid I've ever seen on a basketball court. And this is what kind of a dork I was. I said, most passive.
Oh.
And I wasn't trying
Give
to
me
be
some
funny.
laughs, Gorman.
I wasn't trying to be funny. I just said, he looked at me and said, what? And then I went, oh, wait. And then that's when I went, I shouldn't have said that. But I said most passive. And he just rolled. He was like, he was just turned his back on me, and I did not play in the second half. Like, okay.
No. Yeah, they have that power.
Yeah, don't correct the coach's grammar when he's telling you you're a pussy. Just take it. That's what I learned. Or actually, get angry and go be mean. Didn't have any of that sort of thing happening. All right, there's enough of that. There's enough of me being a high school wuss bag for the day. Let's get to your top 5 at 9. Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. It's the KQ Morning Show on Minnesota's Classic Rock, 92 KQRS.
Journey's Wheel in the Sky, the first single of the band Journey ever released that hit the charts. It never made it past like number 57, I believe, but it was the first single to ever chart. And I don't think it's a coincidence that it was their first single with Steve Perry singing. He joins the band. Yeah. They release that song, and the whole world goes, hey, listen to that. But, I guarantee you there are still people, especially from the Bay Area, still saying things like, no, I was into Journey before they got Steve Perry.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? There's those first 3 albums. That's the real Journey.
Yeah, that's why they're still paying Steve Perry every time they go out on tour.
That's right.
That was part of his parting contract. Every time they play a gig, Steve's sitting somewhere with his feet up getting a taste.
They know who made it rain, if you will.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, the Who, the rock band The Who. They have paid their manager for 40 years or 50 years, 25%. Not 15, the industry standard, not 20, higher than most. 25. And Pete Townsend always said he makes us so much more money than anybody else could. We're like fine with it. Paying him 25%, we still make more than paying someone else 20%.
In other words, he's got the dirt on him.
Well, yeah, he's a gangster. That's how that works. That's exactly how that works. But no, I would love to. I just know it just cracks me up. I as a music jerk myself about bands I love back in the day, I just know there's a guy. No, man, Journey. Once Steve Perry came, I was out. I just think about that guy. It's the same as the guy who, when you go see a concert and the opening band is a band you've never heard of, but there's one fan who's standing and singing every word to every song so that everyone there knows, I know this band. I'm here for the opening band.
Yeah.
That headliner sucks.
We just heard REM. That was one of the first bands I came across that I was like, oh, REM, I love this song. This song's The End of the World sucks.
Yeah,
this band,
God.
I knew them before they. All right,
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
I understand they were a college band, and
Yeah.
you went to college, and okay, good for you.
Look, you don't have to you don't have to call me out like that, dude. Because I was that 80s.
I wasn't
REM
naming
jerk.
names.
I was that kid, man. Every time I'd go see REM, every record they put out in the 80s, the crowd would be bigger, which you would think as a fan of the band, you'd be happy. But I'd be like, where were you guys last time?
Oh, Ryder knows there's a rich history of that right here in Minnesota. Minnesota was the first place I moved to back in the late 80s, where suddenly every band that I grew up loving sucked, apparently. I didn't know that. They all sucked.
Yeah.
Because they were on the radio. They're going to suck now, man. They're not cool anymore. Yeah.
Well, when I moved to Georgia, where REM's from in 1987, imagine my surprise to realize, they suck. I was like, wait a minute. What are you talking about? This is where I'm from. They're still cool. No, man, they sold out. They sold out. Oh, for God's sakes. Music fans are at the same time, the best and the worst. No doubt about it.
Yeah.
Speaking of music fans, Metallica's got a few. And right now, 92 KQRS would love to send you to see Metallica at Mile High Stadium in Denver this summer for the final night of their M72 No Repeat Weekend Tour. For a shot to win Snake Pit tickets with a 360 view of the show for both nights. Yowza. Of course, that will include airfare and hotel for two. Text the national keyword Metallica to 95819 for your chance to win. All right, let's get on to your top 5 at 9. If you're just joining us, if you're just getting out of bed, here is what's going on. As the wildfires abated a bit in Los Angeles over the weekend, got a break with the wind. They were able to get all the flying machines were flying with no wind. They were able to contain to a much greater degree all of the fires that are burning. Kristen Crowley is the department chief of the Los Angeles Fire Department. She spoke to some media about what's going on out there, and she was not happy with the city and their response to the fire department's requests over the past good many years. Here is Fire Chief Kristen Crowley.
The fire department needs to be properly funded. We know where our gaps in service are. We know we need 62 new fire stations. We need to double the size of our firefighters. The growth of this city since 1960 has doubled, and we have less fire stations. Since 2010, we've had an increase, doubled our call volume, which is firefighters responding to calls, 55% increase with 68 less firefighters. Our firefighters need to be properly funded so that they can do their jobs.
Of course, that was in response to the mayor who said, there's nothing we could have done about this. It's just an act of God.
Well, I will say this. Both things are right. There's nothing you can do about this level of a fire with the winds being hurricane strength, which they were. Yeah. When you have thousands of buildings burning at one time, no fire. There's not a water system on the planet that could have handled this. That said, it's also true that the city, for decades, has not been giving the fire department what they're requesting and what they're saying they need. Like most fire departments, I don't think there's a fire department in America that's thrilled with. I mean, there are some that are happier than others, but every fire department would love to have a budget increase, would love to have more firefighters, more equipment, and I don't understand the reason for that not being the case. This is as I said, this is a decades-old issue in L.A. Two things can be true. However, no matter what you had done, this is a once in a century, once in a 5-century type of fire.
Let's hope so.
I certainly hope we don't see this again. This is 8 times larger than the Chicago fire. The area is burned so far. It's 4 times the size of Manhattan. I mean, this is just beyond what one fire department or a lot of fire departments could handle. That said, you can have both things. First things first, we got to get through another week of bad winds out there. There is a very high warning in effect again starting tomorrow and through Wednesday. We're going to go back to those 80-mile-an-hour winds. So here's hoping that Los Angeles does get a break with the containment and with the vehicles the helicopters and planes being able to fly. My God, let's hope that no more fires break out this week, because that is an unprecedented horror show going on in Los Angeles. Number 4 on your top 5 at 9. Your next governor of Minnesota is a 19-year-old from St. Paul named Zachary Leho. This guy is living for all of us. What did he do? He's not running for office. He doesn't even have an opinion, as far as I know, on most things political. He broke into a water reservoir after hearing that it had fish in it. He and his friends like to, quote, make fishing videos in obscure places. Yeah. So they went to a water reservoir in West St. Paul back in November to go fishing. And now he's been busted. He's charged with felony first-degree criminal damage to property, trespassing, and fleeing a peace officer. Cops got a report of a disturbance at a water reservoir, turned up, and 3 or 4 people were sitting up on top of that thing, and they ran away when the cops showed up, but somehow they found this guy. Listen, man, anybody that's going to go fishing in a water reservoir, that's a guy that just, that's Minnesota. That's Mr. Minnesota right there. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong at all. He's pulling some of those slimy fish out of the water for us. I would think it'd make it a little easier to clean, wouldn't it? Get some of those panfish out of there. I mean, in most places you go to, most other states, you're allowed to fish in water reservoirs. But not Minnesota.
Is that true? Didn't know.
Oh, yeah. You can boat on them, fish on them. You got the big Lake Mead out there in Las Vegas. There's a big water reservoir, yeah.
The water reservoir was shut down. It was isolated from the main water supply, testing of contaminants, but no contamination was found, and they opened it back up. Hey, kid, we feel you. This is the equivalent of me as a kid in high school shoveling the driveway so I could shoot baskets. You know what I mean? When you gotta fish, you gotta fish.
Yes.
That's how that works. Number 3 on your top 5 at 9. Do you sleep on your side? Is it your left side or your right side? Maybe you sleep on your stomach. Pretty much impossible, especially the older you get, to change how you sleep. But if you were ever going to possibly try to tweak it, maybe this would give you good reason to do that. A new study has found that the types of dreams you have may very well be connected to the position you sleep in. If you sleep on your left side, right here, folks, you are most likely to have nightmares, apparently. That would explain it. I've got vivid, lucid, crazy, surrealistic nightmare dreamscapes going on all the time.
Yeah.
If you sleep on your right side, you're more likely to have dreams where you feel relief or you feel safety and you get better quality sleep overall. My kingdom for a night on my right side.
How do we get you on your right side? There's got to be a way, I don't know, one of those foam wedges or something. I don't know.
When I roll on my right side, I don't know what to do with my right arm. On my left side, I just lay on my left arm. It's fine. For whatever reason, my right arm has to come out, and then I lay on my shoulder. My head kind of rests on my shoulder of my right arm, and then if I do go to sleep in that position, my arm will fall asleep. And then I'll roll over, and my dead hand will slap my face, and it feels like someone else is slapping me. And then I wake up from an immediate nightmare. So I can't win no matter what I do.
I don't know, maybe. Yeah.
If you sleep face down, more likely to have sex dreams.
All right, then.
Well, if you sleep face down with me, I'm more likely to pounce. I mean, come on. You're presenting. You know what they call it when dogs do that? She's presenting. I'm just saying.
Oh, wow. More likely to have sex dreams if you lay down, and of course, as a long. Going back from a long line of Midwestern Irish Catholics, I'm just going to say nightmares and dreams about sex are not mutually exclusive.
That's what my mom, raised Catholic, always told me anyway.
Number 2 on your top 5 at 9. Kansas City's known for a lot of things. They got a good football team. They've got some great barbecue. I mean, if you are a fan of ribs, by God, you can do a lot worse than be in Kansas City. They will work a rack of ribs over there like no one's business. But this is a little different. A woman in Kansas City named Emily James, she's a fan of ribs, sort of, I guess. Her own ribs. She paid $17,000 for an elective cosmetic surgery to remove 6 of her own ribs.
Dear God.
In order to achieve a smaller waist.
Well, I mean, she looks like a waif anyway, but yeah, Ryder, thoughts?
I don't think so. To remove it's way cheaper to, I don't know. No, this is a lot, too much.
How about just drink some celery juice for 6 months? That doesn't cost $17,000. She has not only had 6 ribs removed, she asked to have the ribs present. She wants them. She took them home, her own ribs.
Yeah.
And she's planning to make a crown out of them to wear.
All right. Okay. Here's Em right now.
I got them removed for cosmetic purposes. These are my rib bones. There's 6 of them. This one's so tiny and small and petite. They let me keep them. Plan on having someone make a crown and incorporate my bone pieces in there and shave them down.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, what'd she do with the meat?
Right?
I'm just saying, she's got them in a plastic baggie, like a Ziploc baggie, just all boned out there, I was wondering what she did with the meat, a little barbecue sauce. Yeah, I mean, you're so weird. Why do you want a narrower waist? For whom?
I got to think that of all the people who've had this procedure done, exactly none of them have kept it to themselves.
Right. I mean,
no chance you're doing that and not thinking, you know who needs to know about this? The internet. Everybody.
Yeah. And then what is this doctor doing? I get it. You're in the cosmetic. Somebody once said, hey, I'm all about live and let live, sort of free will kind of thing. But a young lady comes in and says, yeah, can you pull out 6 ribs? You don't go, you know what, could you answer a few questions? I'm going to get you I've got a psychologist buddy. If you talk to him and you pass with flying colors, we'll take all your we'll take your entire rib cage out, the whole thing. You'll just be like a big, I don't know, a bag of jelly hanging from a spine. I don't know. But it seems to me she doesn't need less ribs. She needs more therapy.
Any therapy.
Yeah.
just get in for an hour. Do it online. Call 1-800-FIX-ME or something. There's got to be a number out there. Hey, morning shout out to Brooklyn Park. Good morning, Brooklyn Park. Happy to have you listening to us on a Monday morning. And it's a big Monday because tonight in Arizona, the LA Rams are the home team for an away game against the Minnesota Vikings, the last of the wild card weekend football games. The Vikings, a 2.5, last I checked, point favorite going up against the LA Rams. But boy, a lot of the insiders, the football pundits, are loving the Rams all of a sudden. I don't know. I'm going back and forth. I'm too emotionally invested. I was riding the Vikings all week, and then now I got myself psyched out a little bit. I just hope it's a great game. Of course, I hope the Vikings come out on top. Winner goes to Philadelphia to face the Eagles, who had a nice win yesterday, but not as impressive as they probably wanted. So first things first, let's go get a win tonight. What do we think here? Are we all feeling like the Vikings have what it takes?
I mean, it's the hesitation is not. Forget all the years past. Forget the last 60 years of football.
Yeah.
The Vikings will go as Sam Darnold goes tonight, and that has got to make everyone a little nervous. You know, he just hasn't been here in this position before. Last week had that playoff implication field. Certainly had that playoff vibe to it. The game was a big game, and he crapped right there on the field, just like the English bulldog that was out on tour with you.
He did. Yeah.
But so we got to see it tonight. Bring it tonight to be the Vikings that we watched for 14 games this regular season, and they will get the job done against the Rams tonight.
Let's hope, man. From your lips to Sammy Darnold's fingertips. Let's keep those passes down low in the numbers where they belong.
Yeah.
That's pretty exciting stuff.
Get the KQ Morning Show podcast wherever you listen. 92 KQRS.